Have you ever watched players like Aspas play and you're just like, how is he just that much better? Like literally everything he does looks infinitely better than 99.9% of players. What's his secret? How can I play like Aspas? Well, today we are going to dive into just that. We're going to be talking about 5 mechanics that just make watching Aspas so juicy. We'll showcase the technique and explain in a way that hopefully helps you guys replicate them to the best of your abilities. Even if you don't end up looking exactly like Aspas by the end, my hope is that we can get you to understand why what he does just works so damn well. But before we get into it, if you feel like you've been struggling in ranked recently, then have we got the treat for you. Over at SkillCapped, we recently published a brand new Gameleap course that details how any one of you could develop Radiant level aim in just a few weeks. While most players just aim in whatever way feels most comfortable, it might surprise you to hear that there's actually a proper aiming technique that pros use to not only make themselves more consistent, but to also help them get more kills like this. In our course, we're going to teach you this proper technique and even provide you with an aim training routine that you can use to instantly start improving your aim and climbing today. Now, unlike other routines, this is a simple, less than 15-minute exercise that you can do before you play that will do wonders for your aim. Not only that, but our site is literally backed by a rank improvement guarantee, so if you don't climb, you don't pay. If you're really looking to climb this act, or you just want to start fragging out in your matches, be sure to check out our new Gameleap course using that link below. Now, the first mechanic that we're going to talk about that Aspas has pretty much mastered is what we call a half step. Something that stands out about Aspas's gameplay is that he's actually just insanely mobile. Like, you physically cannot keep up with this guy's strafes because he uses something called a wooden keyboard. Now, I'm not downplaying Aspas's skill here. He's obviously an insane player. Just if you want to try and replicate this sort of thing, this is important to know. What these high-tech wooden keyboards do is they essentially have faster inputs, meaning that when you press a key, the game receives that input a lot faster. That's like a super summed down version of this, and you can watch this video if you want to hear the whole deal. It's not just wooden keyboards nowadays, there's other options, but basically without one, this exact movement is probably near impossible to achieve. That being said, you can still implement this technique to the best of your abilities. Check out this entry clip of Aspas on Fracture when he's running into sight and gets caught off guard while he's pulling out his stinger. Now notice how instead of continuing to run, Aspas instead immediately stops and then he strafes to the left to dodge any fire from the ISO. You'll actually see ISO fires 2 shots here, one to the left of Aspas as he's running in, and then as Aspas switches directions, ISO fires a second shot whizzing right past the right side of his head. It is such a subtle step, but it just feels so clean when you see stuff like this. This half step is more present during situations where you're fighting multiple enemies. Now you see the key is that when you're vulnerable, you don't want to stand still. I mean, duh, obviously. But actually, one of the points in time when you're most vulnerable is when you're fighting multiple enemies. You've got to stand still to shoot, and that's just how trades happen. You stand still, and then the person you're not shooting at trades you out. That's why you'll commonly see this tactic from top players in 1v2s, where it's basically first kill, immediately strafe, and then shoot for the second kill. In this clip, you'll see Aspas tries to do this, but is actually slowed down because he's already been tagged by the trading player. Because of this, it's not really possible for him to completely dodge the fire, and he commits to a crouch spray to finish his target. Notice how Aspas gets down to 5 HP here. This strafe crouch movement that he makes could likely be the difference between him taking an extra body shot instead of a leg shot, or him taking a headshot instead of a chest shot. A bunch of people have seen this insane clip. Obviously his corrections are nuts here, but the thing that really is impressive is just his movement. Look how mobile this guy is. Like, how in the world are you supposed to hit this? Now Aspas is very conscious of his movement and making himself an impossible target to hit. And while it's not quite the same as a half step, I think it's also helpful to showcase this knife clip of how he's just always getting an advantage on his opponents. Take a look at how in this clip he is jump peeking the first corner with knives. You just can't pre-aim this. Like, even if I know he has jet knives and I know he's going to peek this, where am I supposed to put my crosshair? Here? 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 Like, the answer is you really just kinda can't hold the angle. Then notice how after he gets into market, he still is jump peeking and eventually goes on top of the board in the middle and jump peeks this guy and spawn. Like, again, even though this guy hears the updraft, how can you pre-aim this? You just can't. You just have to give it up. It's just nuts, dude. Like, how are you supposed to hit this guy? Oh, well, I guess like that. Now, while Aspas is mobile, that doesn't mean that he's always mobile. Sometimes he crouch sprays, which goes to show that, hey, sometimes crouch spraying is just probably good. Check out this clip where Aspas is sliding around the corner, real close to the enemy team. He slides wide and immediately goes into a crouch spray, landing a pretty kind of average spray transfer clip. He's closer range though, like you're not really going to just start strafing after a neon slide right now. You're out wide, you're taking advantage of that sliding accuracy, and you are shooting. But the other thing is too that at this point, it doesn't really matter if Aspas lives or dies. He's just got to get one, and the second guy is very likely just about to get traded by his breach. His teammate is right behind him. He's broken their ankles and is on the other side of the choke point. When you're with your team like this, you can afford to be a little bit more committal. You don't gotta bob and weave, like just kill the guy. He does the same thing from a bit more of a distance with his Raze when they both swing dish at the start of the round. You'll see Raze actually swings wide, and then Aspas immediately swings and crouch sprays to go for the kill. And although Aspas is known for his movement, sometimes the crouch spray just works fine. Check out this other spray transfer, mostly because it's cool, but also because I think it showcases a very reasonable crouch spray.
What's up, buddy? Whoa.
Now, to be clear, this clip is kind of an extreme example, but sometimes showcasing an extreme example can be really good to teach things. Now, there's actually a lot of reasons to crouch spray, which we go over in our spider method course over at SkillCapped. If you want to learn all about that, I really recommend checking it out. But here, Aspas is making a full commit play, as full commit as they come. As he is jumping around the corner, first player spots him. He's not even landed yet, so he's already in danger. He doesn't have time to strafe out of the way here. He's just got to land the kill as soon as possible. Now, as he's coming around the corner, you'll also notice he spots 3 players. He doesn't necessarily know that Jett is the only one who is ready to shoot him, so he's got to assume that he does not have time on his side. He's got to kill whoever he can right now. What's most likely to happen right now, regardless of how good Aspas is he's probably just going to get traded here. I'd argue that happens in like 90% of scenarios right now, maybe more. This is not a very probable play. But the question is it more likely for him to win this if he strafes? Like, what if he tries to do what he did in the other clip that we saw? Well, it just wouldn't work. If you know how strafing works, it's really simple. It moves you left to right. Now, left to right is relative to the direction that you're facing. So if Aspas strafes left to right while looking at Jett, it doesn't really do much to dodge fire from Cypher's perspective. He's essentially just moving in a straight line. He would have to turn to face Clove, and at this point, it gets a little bit better, but still not very good. When you're fighting enemies from a radius like this wide, strafing isn't always the most effective. He kind of just has to crouch spray in this position to have enough time to kill that first target and then immediately turn to fight his next opponent. And this is just because strafing is most effective when you are facing the target, because you give yourself the largest movement from your enemy's perspective. Now go back to the other clip on Lotus and notice how everybody peeking him is within like a 30-degree radius in front of him. It's a lot easier for him to evade here because everyone is in front of him. He also has this wall to isolate. If he even tries to evade in this Abyss clip, it's just going to hurt his chances of landing any kills. Now obviously that last clip was a bit unexpected by the enemy team, but that's just what Aspas is so good at. He's got the element of surprise on his side. I'm joking around a bit, but really this guy just loves to fight you from angles you would never expect. Check out this clip where he literally swings through a molly to fight his opponents as they're pushing in.
Ah, mano, não pega.
O morreu trocando tiro, ou só animal.
Ah, essa caga.
This angle is so frustrating to fight. That's why they mollied it. Because while you're trying to scale onto site, you're kind of worried about people being on site or top site or stairs. It's just really tough to break out of this choke point, and then all the while, somebody could just be peeking you in and out from this angle. Now Aspas sees that he's catching a timing as this molly is landing through to go for a peek, and it works out beautifully. Now he does get a little lucky that the breach misses his flash here, but this is just one of the double kills that's demoralizing. This is something that a lot of really good players will do to you, by the way, if you don't punish them. They will just disrespect any piece of utility that you put out there. Like, oh cool, you mollied Aspas? Well, is that going to stop him from outgunning you? If not, then why should he respect it? That's kind of just the struggles of playing an FPS game. Aim is really important. This isn't the only way that Aspas catches people off guard though. He also just employs things like off angles incredibly well. Like check out this nasty angle outside of garage.
Mano, tem muito cara, Dedé.
Small note, see how his crosshair is actually quite close to the corner of the door? This is because at this angle, he's probably not going to get wide swung. They kind of have to expect him to be here for them to wide swing it. Instead, he's looking to catch somebody who is peeking spawn. Sure enough, Reyna walks right into his trap and he picks up a free kill. Soon after, you'll see that he ults onto C site, and again, he lands on top of this box next to spawn. This is intentional. He knows that if somebody peeks out here, they're going to not expect him here. He goes from one off angle seamlessly to the next. And now he doesn't get a kill from here, but it's really cool to see. Naturally, Aspas plays a lot of duelists, so he's really conscious about these boxes and how he can use them to his advantage. Again, you'll find this during his C-side execute.
Vale. Mais DD. Mano, um B e um DD. Nice. Em costas, caralho. Mano, tem costas?
Rather than just double diving backside with his jet, he actually takes the high ground and tries to support her from there instead. Now, even despite getting droned out here, he still ends up landing a surprising kill onto the enemy Cypher because it's just an unexpected location to see him. We've all seen Aspas play at this point, and if he doesn't get droned out, he probably gets 2 here. Now, he's just the king of finding these random off angles to hold from and catch players off guard. Like, check out this one on Pearl where he knows the enemy isn't spawn. Now, this is an angle I would never hold personally because I don't have the aim or the confidence that Aspas does. If you miss here, you don't really have any room to strafe out of it, which kind of sucks. But he 100% has the first shot in a spot like this, and there's no way he's just getting one tapped. There's also another thing to note in this clip. Aspas is just really aware of his teammates and their positioning. Notice how he's got a sort of high-low with his Reyna right now. And in this Haven clip that we just showed, notice how his execute is really well timed with his jet. Now, the high-low in this clip isn't perfect. It can still be isolated, but here's another example of him doing this exact same thing.
Tá falhando, mano. O cara fica morrendo aí, mano. Aí, ó, tá bom,
You can't actually see it because his minimap is covered, but I was wondering why he posted up specifically on this angle to fight the enemy Brim. It's not exactly an off angle, but if you look closely, you can see his teammate actually shooting right over his shoulder as well on the stairs behind him. A high-low setup like this is virtually unwinnable. Aspas and his teammate take contact at the exact same time, and it was a very clearly intentional reposition by him to make this happen. Now, Aspas is just very, very aware of where his teammates are positioned and how he can play off of them. Take a look at this next clip as him, Raze, and Breach are running it down on Fracture.
Ah, você roubou minha kill, mano. Mais um na esquerda, mais um na esquerda, mais um na esquerda. Esquerda,
Mata o cara, mano.
The Breach stun comes in and they just obliterate this Reyna. But a small detail that, again, is really easy to miss is that his Raze actually satcheled on top of the box in main. He didn't just satchel at the Reyna, he took the high ground, and Aspas uses this opportunity again to take a high-low on the attackers in their own spawn. Look at the bullet tracers. They're going right over his head. It's just funny as all. Like, imagine swinging into this in your own spawn. Now, in the third kill, we're also seeing something that you'll notice top players do, which is when they have somebody stuck in a corner like this, not really anywhere for them to go, they kind of just have to swing. It's like how you don't want to corner a wild animal. You're just giving them no choice. He's got to fight. So rather than swinging wide in these cases, oftentimes what you'll see top players actually do is they'll just pre-fire the swing. There's also an added layer here where if Raze is on top of the box behind him, if Aspas does swing into this, it is actually helping his opponent isolate the fight. But of course, Raze eventually pushes forward to help him clear out this round. But notice how it's like, okay, I know that you're stuck in a corner and probably going to have to swing me. So I'm just going to pre-fire it and wait for my teammate so that we can swing you together. It's a lose-lose because if they swing, they're probably just going to die. And if they wait, they're probably going to die. You'll also see a similar thing take place in this Pearl round that we showed earlier where Aspas takes this funny angle. After they kill the jet, the enemy Cypher lands a kill onto his Reyna. And rather than trying to swing into the Cypher and land the kill, which just would have been a really awkward swing, he would have to get super close to the wall and run forward, and it would just be not great. Instead, Aspas immediately tries to pre-fire the Cypher. And like Cypher isn't technically trapped, he can go back through sewers, but there's just not enough time in the round for that sort of play. He's kind of just got to fight Aspas or run away. When you have people trapped like this, they kind of just have to swing. They don't have much of a choice. Now anyway, hopefully you learned something from this video, or at least enjoyed the watch. And if you're looking to rank up this hack, then let me tell you that we can help you out today and get you back on track and climbing right away. As mentioned with our brand new Calm Aim course, we will teach you everything that you need to know about how aiming has developed over the last 10 years. We'll teach you the established proper technique that aim pros use to maximize their accuracy and with far less. Now, aiming can feel hard sometimes, but we'll help make it stupid simple and get you ranking up in no time or your money back. Now, don't forget that site subscribers can also get direct access to our coaches in Discord so that you can get personalized feedback just for you. Nobody understands how to climb out of low elo more than us, so if you're looking to rank up, be sure to check out SkillCapped using the link below. And other than that, my name is Casey, and I'll catch you in the next one.